What's going on, guys? My name is Tommy. Welcome back to the channel. It's time for our first episode of min-maxing for fun and profit in the Advanced Player's Guide playtest. Y'all know me. I cast Greatsword. I can't cast a Greatsword today. It had to be an agile or finesse melee weapon. But that doesn't mean we're not doing the big dumb martial first. Let's play around with the Swashbuckler. I'm actually really excited for this. If you're liking what you're seeing, like, subscribe, and ding that bell. Today, that horde of people who keep showing up to support me doing stuff on the internet keeps growing. This episode of Min-Maxing for Fun and Profit was brought to you in part by Mr. Chad Hale. Why, yes, my friend, I am more than happy to review your second edition homebrew content. Looking forward to talking to you on Discord about it. For now, thank you so much for your support. Here we go. So the Swashbuckler of Pathfinder 2nd edition looks a lot different than it did in 1st edition. Further, I don't know if anybody at Paizo watches these, but Paizo, when you release playtest PDFs, please include them with bookmarks so I don't have to scroll through 20 odd pages of things to get to the bottom of it. That's the end of my rant. As I was building this, I knew I would need to find a way to keep panache online a lot. Further, due to some comments that I've seen on my channel, I've realized that the finisher trait in fact says once you use a finisher, you can't use any actions that have the attack trait for the rest of your turn. Thanks for editing my content, y'all. I really appreciate it. So basically, we're looking at, in a way, the Vital Strike character of 1st edition. We're gonna make one attack, or we're going to focus up into one big attack, rather. Further, the Swashbuckler is the first class, at least in my opinion, that has come down in Pathfinder 2nd edition to feel multiple ability score dependent. This is because they have no means of adding dexterity to damage, but must use agile or finesse weapons, and all of the Swashbuckler styles receive value for being really good at acrobatics. The Swashbuckler styles also might be the most versatile styles I've seen so far. All Swashbucklers, by tumbling through, will be targeting the reflex DC of their opponent. The Braggart wants to demoralize and so will be targeting Will DC, and the Fencer will be targeting Perception DC. Both of those want to have a really high charisma and dexterity to make sure that they can get their panache and have their value, but must also, at least right now, have a high strength score to do damage in the first place. Rogues that archetype into Swashbuckler might end up looking a little better. Certainly, it's a wonderful dual class option. But today we will be building around the Gymnast. We'll start encounters with panache if we roll athletics for initiative. I'm not really sure how that works. I guess set up somehow in your character's canon that you like to drop and do push-ups or something. You'll also gain panache during combat whenever you successfully grapple, shove, or trip a foe. All of these things target Fortitude DC. Our character will be really good against individuals with bad fort and kind of okay against individuals with bad reflex, but even without panache, since we're gonna want to prioritize our strength as it's both our damage source and our means of value, our ability score spread should look a little better. For our race today, we'll be choosing an elf. This picture of an elf is a big spoiler as to the weapon, and it has been since the thumbnail. There's one reason I wanted to choose the elf today. The elf is fast. Since a character with panache gets a +5 foot status bonus to speed, an elf starts with a speed of 30, and Nimble Elf could bump that by 5. That means a level 1 elf Swashbuckler in combat has a move speed of 40. He is almost as fast as a horse. Let that sink in. That's crazy. And you've done nothing with your gold or your magic to make that happen. By 19th level, a Swashbuckler has a +30 increase to speed. So I'm really bad at quick math, but I think that's a move speed of 65, or very, very fast. As for our choice of weapon, well, the Swashbuckler needs to use an agile or finesse unarmed attack or an agile or finesse melee weapon in order to receive precise strike, which is the hallmark of the class. This, again, is why my feelings hurt a little, because without dex to damage, we're either so multiple ability score dependent that we need precise strike to keep up, or oftentimes I feel like, especially our fencers, won't have panache at all. And so, our weapon of choice of all the things to put on the Swashbuckler, you'll die as you lived in the flash of the spiked chain. Yeah, the D8 damage dice looks really good. It's got the finesse trait and the trip trait, which means we can use it when we're making athletics checks to trip and we get a buff equal to the bonus of the weapon. So yeah, didn't see that one coming. Note that we are talking about an uncommon martial weapon. The flavor of 2nd edition seems to indicate that it should be hard to get a hold of a spike chain. I'm starting to wonder how far that really should go in games, because the alternative for the Swashbuckler is to be stuck on D6s. And again, being super multiple ability score dependent could mean that that causes your character to suffer. So I say let the Swashbucklers have their spike chain, flavor it as you will. Maybe you really love Zon-Kuthon. Maybe you were a former slave and when you broke your chains with panache, there's your athletics check for initiative, I suppose. They were a little sharp and pointy and you learned to fight like that. A street fighter, so on and so forth. Now, we'll be holding the spike chain in 2 hands, so a lot of times grappling, shoving won't really be the thing we're trying to do, but we can use a spike chain to trip. That means we make an athletics check against the target's reflex DC. Okay, fair enough. Maybe we gotta switch hands sometimes if we want to target more than one DC. Do what you gotta do. On a success, they're prone. On a critical success, they're prone and take a d6 of bludgeoning damage. On a critical failure, you lose your balance and land prone, or you drop your weapon. Now, you can't trip somebody who's swimming, but flying and climbing things will fall. In either case, you did the trip action, and action was successful. This should land you panache. But I've rambled enough. Class feats. Nimble dodge is first. Shields are real good in 2nd edition, but we are definitely, right now, stuck to a 2-handed weapon, so we'll want that reaction to dodge, duck, dip, dive, and not get crit in the dome if we can help it. Our first Swashbuckler feat will come through at level 2, finishing follow-through. If your finisher brings the target of your strike to 0, or brings the highest level target of them to 0, if you should hit more than one person with the finisher, we won't be. You do not lose panache. This seems huge. Get it once, keep it forever. To be honest, the Swashbuckler feels really good at maybe not necessarily targeting the boss, but keeping the ads down, keeping the little guys down, the wizards with less HP, yeah, whap them in the head till they're dead. At 4th level, we will take Sudden Charge. Oh, did I forget to tell you? Yeah, we have a reason to finally play the Ancient Elf, and we'll begin with the Fighter dedication. Remember how I said we were really fast? Sudden Charge seems made for the Swashbuckler. It's not really the reason why we became a fighter, but we'll talk about that in a second. At level 6, Attack of Opportunity could be really good for us. And if you don't like the feat I chose, take this one. Certainly, lots of folks are going to be standing up from prone around you, thus provoking. But we have a boatload of reactions as it stands now, so I feel like one less isn't the worst thing in the world. And also, I really just love the 4th level feat, Flamboyant Athlete. While you have panache, you get a climb speed and a swim speed equal to half your land speed. Remember when I said we were super fast? Yeah. A move speed of 40 is a climb speed of 20, a swim speed of 20. Really good. The DC of high jumps and long jumps decreases by 10 from their original DC. This doesn't stack with stuff. And the distance you can move with a vertical leap increases to 5 feet. Your distance from a horizontal leap increases to 15 if your speed is at least 15, or to 20 if your speed is at least 30. This seems really, really good to me. Terrain in combat can shut down a lot of characters. Fall in the water? Have a swim speed. Don't need to make that athletics check unless you want a critical success. Just swim out. Need to get over a 20-foot wall? Run up the thing. Since this gives you a climb speed, this should also allow you to stick to walls and ceilings in combat. The flavor of that is, I'll leave it to you. I will also say, if there are any ways or any GMs who will allow you to get panache outside of combat, maybe like a critical success on an athletics check or use a hero point or something, this can help the Swashbuckler circumnavigate a lot of hazards in exploration mode. Work with your GM. Anyway, combination finisher is next. You knew I'd take it. I love stuff like this. Your finisher's strikes have a lower multiple attack penalty, -4 or -3 with an agile weapon instead of 5, and then 8 or -6 instead of 10 for the 3rd or subsequent. Since tripping does have the attack trait, this often means we'll be attacking not at our best attack bonus. Fortunately enough, since they will be flat-footed when they're on the ground and then we're beating them with a chain to death, we should at least be kinda alright. Combination finisher helps make sure our attacks get through. Next up, it's Daring Do, which says that when you already have panache, if you perform a skill action that would normally give you panache on a success, you can roll twice and use the higher on your check. You can roll with advantage every single time you're trying to trip someone. You can have a very good chance to roll 15 or better every single time you're trying to trip someone. That's amazing. That is literally the rich getting richer. I love it. Speaking of that, next up, Perfect Finisher. The only finisher we're taking other than stuff the Swashbuckler gets automatically. Make a strike, roll with advantage. Yeah, that's the most amazing thing I've ever seen in my whole life. This is the part where someone's going to jump in on my video and be like, no, you did that wrong, Tommy, nah. But how I'm seeing that is, I'm gonna make an athletics check to trip you. I'll roll with advantage. Are you particularly beat up? Not sure. Maybe I'll strike you first and then use Perfect Finisher with my last action, or maybe I'll just use Perfect Finisher now because I think I could retain the panache to roll with advantage again. Next up, it's incredibly late, but the other reason I wanted to archetype fighter for this build, Advantageous Assault. The stab and grab fighter that we made in the playtest, the rogue fighter that would grab you to make you flat-footed then start stabbing in, also looked kind of good. If you could get dex to damage, I'd consider it. Advantageous Assault does have the press trait, but if you don't have panache, it's another really good way to tack damage on. For one action, assuming you have a multiple attack penalty, make a strike against a creature that is grabbed, prone. That's your whole build is making things prone. Nice. Or restrained. You gain a circumstance bonus to damage on this strike equal to the number of weapon damage dice, or that number +2 if you're wielding the weapon in two hands. On a failure, should you happen to miss, you still do a little bit of damage. If the weapon had 3 damage dice and it's a two-handed weapon, you'd do 5. Mathematically, this will not come out as good as a big finisher to their dome, but I mean, it's still really good. 3 more feats from the Swashbuckler to round it out. Charmed Life. Running way back to level 2 for this one. I think by now at level 16, it's reasonable to assume that we have 14 charisma. As a reaction, a +2 circumstance bonus to a save. But run back and grab yourself now at 18th, incredible luck. When you use Charmed Life, roll the save, including the +2, and use the better. Roll with advantage, in class, in-house. What is life? I'll tell you what life is, friends. Life is consistency. Panache Paragon is last. Constantly quickened, using that extra action to perform a single action specifically listed as an action that allows you to gain panache. So a free action to trip people, basically. I really like this so much. For our Ancestry feats, Nimble Elf out the gate, more speed is good. Then it's Halfling Luck, Shared Luck, Guiding Luck, Incredible Luck. Will be adopted by Halflings at 3rd. We will take Armor Proficiency. Not gonna lie, I haven't really had the spoons to reply to comments lately. I'm doing my best, y'all know what's up. But I did miss that in the Sorcerer. Armor's a little more important than it used to be for our Gishes and our dexterity-based marshals. We'll only ever get up to medium armor, but we want to have a better than average dexterity anyway, so this should be alright. Then it's Canny Acumen for the fortitude, it's toughness, it's Die Hard. Real quick, there's actually one skill feat we just gotta talk about today. Titan Wrestler will let us disarm, grapple, shove, or trip creatures up to 2 sizes larger, or up to 3 once we eventually become legendary in athletics. Assuming someone's not enlarging us, this is kind of a staple. Assurance might look really good on the Swashbuckler too. Sometimes a 10 might be all you need. So I'm not going to compare this one to Tree Razor. I think that's a video into itself, because I think we'd land about the same. Instead, I'll give you 3 strengths, 3 weaknesses real quick in summation before we head out. First off, the biggest strength this build has definitely is how many ways in class it can benefit from a fortune effect without using a reaction. You can only ever have 1 fortune effect on a single roll. That's fine. We've got fortune effects in-house on a lot of the things we're doing. Secondly, this thing can be really versatile in combat without having to use actions. A climb speed anytime you have panache. That's almost mind-breaking to me as I try to picture now how this elf can just stick to a wall. But again, that's super versatile. If somehow you can get reach, get on a 10-foot ceiling and attack down from someone who can only reach 5 feet, they can't do anything about you. Failing that, standing on the ceiling is still a great way to be out of people's way in tight hallways, but make sure you can still attack, just like also so too can the champion. Lastly, you're setting up the flat-footed condition. You're setting up a -2 on the bad guy's armor class. The rogues will love you, all of the marshals really will love you because they'll be critting easier, and they'll have a problem attacking as well, which means your team is harder to hit. Win-win. Lastly, as for some cons, yes, you are multiple ability dependent. You obviously want to have high save stats, one of which could get you panache, 2 of which could keep you from being killed or mind controlled. You're also going to need some strength. I truly think moving from playtest to realsies, giving the Swashbuckler a means of dexterity to damage can help alleviate this. You're also only good when you're good. That's why we took Advantageous Assault. It works great for us when we do not have panache, but a lot of our stuff falls off. When we don't have panache, our speed gets cut real hard in high level play. So this build does come with a little bit of, hey, you should be careful, because sudden charging, getting panache, losing panache, overextending yourself could be a recipe for bruised egos and skin. Lastly, it does require you to think when you're in exploration mode, and it does seem to require you to do certain things outside of combat to make sure you can start with panache. I'm gonna leave it there. Thank y'all for watching, because I need help, to be honest with you. In the comments below, how do we get athletics to initiative, acrobatics to initiative regularly? Let me know. Thank y'all so much for watching. And hey, remember, patronage at any tier gets you access to a Google Sheet that this character is written on, guides, an art giveaway, and if you're feeling particularly awesome, could let you play a Swashbuckler with us on the channel. Probably the Investigator next week. I don't know. See you next week.